guys, I thought I'd just do another little video based on my US30 230 strategy. I'm basically just going to scroll through April and just find, but basically look at every day and say why or why not I'd enter a trade, and just roll with it really. See what we can see. So this is the 1st of April, Tuesday. On a 5-minute time frame. Now this is already included the 230, so let's just scroll that back to say there. Now for me, looking on the 5-minute, I'd want 230 to come down here, and I mean if you look on the 15, I think this looks a bit better, but I'd want that. Oh no, it has been tapped. To be fair, that has been tapped. Well, I'd either want this low to be swept basically, or which would then either indicate a buy, or if it, within the 1-minute candle, if it just keeps pushing down, then no trade. But I would like it to come down, sweep this little low, and then push up, maybe to fill this imbalance here. But we'll see what the risk to reward would give us. So yeah, 5-minute, it'll be easier to mark the low on here. So let's just say there, that's where we want it to tap. And then we go to the 1-minute. Now, if we just flick, we're on 20 there. So 230 is getting close. 229. So this next candle, I think, does wick down from memory anyway. So that pushes down, pushes down. See, now this is where it gets a bit. You've got to be quick, because I know what happens on this next candle, but essentially I can't show you because I can't go down to the 10-second or anything. But what I'd be looking at is if this candle within this 31 candle started pulling up hard after taking this, I would have jumped in. Now I can't remember. I think I took this trade. I can't remember. Now, as you can see, that did pull up big time, on the 32 candle. But looking at this scenario here, price pushed down, bosh, and then at the last minute pulled up, and then obviously would have flicked to the next candle, and may or may not have just rocketed up too fast. But as that turned green on MT5, if I hadn't have entered after this bit, after this little sweep here, I would have been straight in that. Because what you'd normally expect when you get a big move like this, if price is going to come down and start filling, areas down here, you won't get a pullback that quick. It would generally, it's just gonna keep going down. But because that started turning green, like I say, that is enough for me. As little as it seems, I'd be in that. So what's on here then? Why can't I get that to move? Right, well, that one anyway. So let's just assume that you didn't get in too sweet, and you got in there, and you went for a 1 to 4. Can't remember how high this. It might not get 1 to 4 out of this, but that covers nicely. At least half of that there doesn't doesn't fill. Poor. Yeah. So not ideal, because that would have wicked out there. But obviously, this purely depends on your entry. If you were quick and you got in down here, then obviously you'd have hit TP. But if it was up here, you'd have just missed it. I mean, personally, if I got that bloody close to TP, I'd be at break even. So I would not have lost that trade. But yeah, that's one idea. Right, well, I thought that paused, but obviously hasn't. So this is the next day. Now this is what I don't like. This is what I'm calling mid-range. Or let's have a look at the 1 minute. Actually, might not be so bad. So, I mean, it's trended down real nice. I mean, is there anything that it's tapped into? Yeah, you got some little order blocks in here, really. I mean, this is a sticky one. You could potentially hope for a reversal here off this line. I think that's the only way I'd want to trade this. Yeah, you could say sales. I mean, you could. I mean, I personally would be looking at that there. I mean, you've got a balanced price range in here, a little bit left. You got that there. I mean, my analysis is never really too technical with this because if any of you guys have actually looked at 230, it's erratic anyway. But that's why I like lows and highs to be swept. But I mean, there is obviously potential for this to keep pushing down because it's done it for so long. Like all this particular day, it's been pushing down. So we'll just have a little looky here and see what this does. Yeah, so I don't like that straight away. So that's taken that. I mean, I'd now be waiting to see if it goes. Fuck me, straight up through. Yeah, so that for me, no trade. If that had pushed up here and then, you know, obviously watching the candle form, if that had been slow or you know the candle was like finishing around here, I would then look to see a candle to start to sell, and then I would enter. It would be that easy for me. You know, next candle might shoot up, but I don't mind taking that risk. But yeah, today's a no trader. I mean, some people, don't get me wrong, will probably look at this and be like, well, let's see what happens. Some people may look at this anyway and be like, right, well, that's pushed up through. Very bullish, so they may think actually it's going to sell for the rest of the day now. You know, that is the reversal here. I mean, there might be something on the 10-second. Who knows really? I mean, they're wiki, so I don't know what people would really be looking at. But for me, in the way I trade, if that had swept this, I'd be in that all in. But because it hasn't, for me, I'm not happy to get in that trade. I mean, you could have looked at it, to be honest, and with a move like that, generally that's the reversal move anyway. Like this has happened, it's not coming back down. So you could have looked at entries off the 1 minute EMA because price does like the 1 minute EMA. You know, breakthrough, retest, keep going, retest again, breakthrough, retest, retest. Did break through there, but retest, retest. So more often than not, the 1 minute EMA is 200 EMA is brilliant. so especially if you're expecting this to be bullish, a tap off of there would be a good entry, but it's not how I trade consistently, so I don't bother. Now let's have a look at the next day. Right, so we're at the next day, and we have gone bang on. So for me, again, not 100% sure because it's pushed down the load. That was yesterday's. No, that wasn't. Let's go on the 1 minute. Get rid of that. So where are we to? We're at 29. So it has been pushing down all day. It is about to take what I assume is an order block. Sort of. That one above it is an order block. So I'll be looking for some sort of reaction in this area. See, that's pushed up, taken into that. So now I'm a little bit cautious. So I'll be waiting for a sell candle, basically. Which, if I was being keen, I probably, because that swept that high, and obviously we saw there was an order block off of here, I would have been waiting as this candle was finishing and as this candle was forming. If that started pushing down, I probably would have entered a sell. Just judging on how I trade. 30 pip stop loss as always, and to be super safe, you go for a 1 to 4, which, well, there you go, 1 minute, less than 1 minute. But obviously, depending on your entry, you may not have got that, and actually look, you may have got stopped out. I mean, if you'd have got a higher entry, you'd have been all right both ways. But depending on how quick you got in, you know, even 1 to 4 then's a bit of a dodgy one. But you can see that there's potential there. I mean, you could really adjust these to 1 to 3s if you wanted to be safer. But I like 1 to 4s personally. But yeah, this time that's using a sweep of a high and an order block, and the fact that it's been bearish all day anyway, and price was up in this range. Like, it was up here. Price wasn't down there. Price pushed up. So, and even before 230 as well. So that gives me an indication that it's going to sweep the high before dropping. It's quite rare that it pushes up and then just, like before 230, and then just flies up at 230. Quite often you'll get the sweep, which is why I trade it. So yeah, that's that day. Again, depending, I mean, if you had a bigger stop loss, you could have had a massive trade out of that, but it's not our trade. Right, so on the 15 minute here, what is price tapped into here? Probably nothing. Yeah, not for a long time anyway, so I'm not interested in that. This is just dropping like a sack of shit. So 5 minute. 5 minutes, so yeah, it is pushing back up. I mean, for me, I'd still be looking for this to be swept if it's going to sell again for 230, but it could quite easily come back up here, and then I'd still be a little bit hesitant with it. Obviously, if it drops straight down, it's going to be this low that I want to see. So let's have a look. What are we at? Well, there you go, 229. 230's there. So that's not actually swept it yet. Yeah, so that's a sticky one. I mean, let's just blast that forward. So depending on how you want to trade it, I mean that's only 259, but that has been swept there, just like created equals. The fact that didn't sweep it would have given me confirmation in taking this trade here, even though it's at 3, and that's quite late for me. I still would have been quite happy to take that. Whether I would have took that anyway because it got close, I might have done a premature entry. If buts and maybes, I don't know. But let's just do it from here. Again, 1 to 4. Fucking hell. 1 to 4 is done in 2 minutes. That's unbelievable. I mean, to be honest with you, I wouldn't have held it for that. I wouldn't have allowed that to close that quick. If I saw that, let's just scroll back here. If I saw that there, and I'm in this trade now with, what's that, 1 to 3, or but 1 to 3 within a minute, I would personally, I'd be looking for that low at least. 1 to 8 seems like a mega trade, but I'd be looking for that low at least, or I might have been twitchy and I might have said, we'll go to the bottom of that candle or somewhere in here because there's a bit of imbalance. But let's just say we were going for a 1 to 6 just to cream a little bit extra. That's 3 candles, unbelievable. Obviously volume was quite high here because 30 pips looks like 10 pips. But yeah, depending on how big your balls were, you could have actually said, nah, price has been coming down all day. You could have gone monster, but again, if buts and maybes, up to the trader's choice really. But that's what I'd have done there. Right, so let's just unpause the video. Right, so this is on the 15-minute now, and this is where it gets a bit tricky because the last few days that I've showed you, look, prices just drop. Now we're in a point of where it's just ranging. It's not doing anything really, is it? So let's have a look on the 5. 25 past. So I mean, you could argue it's come up, retested a 200 EMA. It's failed to substantially hold above the 200, and it's just broken down. We are in an order block zone here on the 5-minute, so I'll be looking at that. And that is a nice imbalance fill there. So this is an iffy one for me because this is another term I call mid-range. So we're at 29 there, 29 minutes past. So, you could look at sweeps off of here. I probably will look at this. I mean, it's either that or it's going to be taking these highs up here. I don't actually remember if I traded this, so this is literally my live analysis say live analysis, but this is just, I'm talking to you open-mindedly here. But there's too many targets here really for me to get excited about, because I wouldn't expect it to come. Well, I say I wouldn't expect it to come down, but the price could come down here. But to do that in the next few minutes of 2:30, I can't see it happening. But we'll have a look, see what price does. I mean, if price comes to this area, I will be waiting to buy. So I'll just see what it does, but it might rocket through. Might not even touch it. Cool. So, in all honesty, that 34 candle, obviously I don't know how it's printed, but if that's pushed down, then started pulling back up, there's a high chance I may have gone, fuck it, stick a percent on that, which quite clearly I'd have been taken out the next candle. You know, depending on where that candle or how that candle formed. You know, I don't know whether it pushed up first or not, but just based on this, if that had, you know, finished there at 330, 233, and then pushed up, and then dropped down and created this little, like, well, created the wick, and then started pulling back up within that same candle, I probably would have been, right, I'll stick a percent on that, or half a percent on that, and just see what happens. And obviously, if it finished there, you probably only would have had like a 1 to 1.5, if that. So that is a fair and square stop loss, and me out of that trade. So I allow 2% a day if I'm being strict. So let's just see where price actually went. Jesus Christ. So, do you know what? I got a feeling I took this trade. I feel like I remember this price action. So yeah, that did come and take those lows here. I probably wouldn't have looked here because this is closer to these, so I may have, I can't say, but I did mention earlier about these lows maybe being taken. I mean, this is a bit too low, but that's quite nice. You could have been almost a bit safer and waited for this to pull up and got in up here maybe, but say you got in around here because you liked the look of this area. Yeah, it depends where you want. Again, this is all a bit pie in the sky really. It's just the analysis on the day. I'd be looking at what price is doing when it hits these areas. Let's bugger that off. So the fact that's been a big push down, that's come down, swept that low, pulled back up. Obviously, that would have pushed down, and then price is finished high there, and then I'd have said it would have pushed back down, wicked up again. I would be quite keen on entering there. So your entry's not going to be exact. I don't know where I would have exactly entered, but if you'd have got something like this, I mean, 1 to 4, again, volume's big because 30 pips looks ridiculous. Something like that. So, depending on how big your balls are, what you wanted to do, I mean, if you're going to go for another EMA tap, that would have been a disgustingly massive trade, but no chance I'd have stayed in that long. On the 5 minute, the 5 minute actually looks really clean for this sort of thing. Look, because it's very wicky on that one, wicked on that one, and pushed up. But I like to enter on the one. So yeah, depends where you'd want to target really with that one. There's no clear target for me. 1 to 4 obviously is the obvious one, but because this is a little bit after 2:30 and there's been a lot of movement already, it would have been up to the individual trader really. I mean, you'd have gone break even within about 30 seconds on that trade anyway, or a couple of minutes. So yeah, that's a bit of a rogue one, but it's still sweeping lows and entering off that sweep really. Now we're on Friday, so what I'll probably do is make a few of these videos for each week, because this is already 25 minutes and you're not going to want to hear me rambling all this time. But obviously, if anyone's got any questions, just ping me a message or whatever, and I'll just try and do a few more of these just to show what I do really. You know, I'm not going to try and act like I'm professional, but this is what I've done for quite a few months now, 6-7 months. Not as consistent as I should have been, but obviously I've passed challenge accounts, I've got to payout stages, 4 times now, 4 or 5 times, and it's all, I'm most consistent this method, this 230 method. If I try and trade anything else, it's inconsistent, but this is the most consistent way I can trade, and as you've seen by some previous results, obviously works. But yeah, any questions, guys? Fire away.